It always comes to this. More nice shit. Well there guys, here to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I think, I only had one session last week, so I just had the bat touched up on my head. Still gonna have one more session on that. Rick and I have talked about doing that in another 2 weeks from now, so this guy healed real easy, as I expected. No real surprises there. Head tattoos seem to heal really easy. Yeah, I've never had a difficult heal on a head tattoo ever. So usually what happens is it's sore for maybe half an hour to an hour afterwards, and then you don't even really know that you've been tattooed. The hardest part for me sometimes is like I'll forget that I've been tattooed, or at least I won't be mindful of the fact, and it's very easy for me to just not care for it at all, or just kind of act indifferent to it. But then again, that's actually in a way for the best, because as I always say, the worst thing you can ever do to a tattoo is overcare for it. So the head tattoo just does its own thing. Even when you're sleeping, the top of your head, it's not going to be interacting with much. The sides and back of your head can be a little annoying to sleep on, but the top of the head just does its own thing completely. So not too much more to say about that. I will show him off. So he's looking a lot better, just more defined again, darker again, and again we're going to add darker midtones and redo the red and white highlights, and that'll do a whole lot. I think there's probably only like another hour or an hour and a half in there. It's really hard to tell if I'm showing off my dome adequately, but yeah. You can see now that the black, since it isn't super fresh, you can actually see the red again. Whereas when it was super fresh black, the red didn't look red at all. It's still not real red, it's more like pinky. And you can see that quite a bit of that black really didn't take in my head tattoo. I'm not concerned about that at all though. If I was wanting it to be solid black, then tomorrow I would be doing another session on the solid black. Whereas I'm not doing that tomorrow. I'm doing the cover up over top of it already. So we actually wanted it to be light. It does not hurt me that is like that. And I would, even if it did, I would always show you guys the gory details. Again, my head bled a lot. So, and as things heal out over the course of a few weeks, especially with heavy black, sometimes the patchiness won't show up until after a few weeks or even a few months. So if you've got a fresh blackout sleeve, and I don't mean to cause you stress or pain or anxiety, but if you've got a fresh blackout sleeve, sometimes even after it peels, you won't know what you're looking at right away. Now again, I found that my left side of my head has healed patchier than the right side of my head. I don't know what the point or the purpose or the reason for that is, but this side of my head bleeds more. I don't think it's a scar tissue related thing, because my head has always bled more on this side whenever I've had it tattooed. There's even part behind my ear where the black is kind of patchy, but over here it's not. So everywhere in and around that area on the left side seems to bleed worse. There's something to like feeling pain differently too in different sides. So when I was first getting all my work done on my chest and my torso and stuff, I always found that my right side hurt more than my left side. But a lot of those things I always think are just, they're just in our heads, or, you know, no pun intended. But whereas the bleeding and stuff like that's tangible. You know, that makes a difference on the result of the tattoo. I can deal with a little more pain. That's whatever. You know, I'm going to just say it right now. If you told me I'll double your pain and you'll get twice the results, I'm doing that every day. I'm not the guy who's shying away from the pain, obviously. So if you ever told me, for example, and this is not meant to be a shot at numbing cream, but if you ever told me that a numbing cream was going to affect the tattoo outcome, that's a good way to get me to stay as far away from it as possible. Now, there's still some debate on whether that's true or not. I don't know. I've never tried numbing cream, but for me, my best interest is in getting the best result, and I don't care what it costs me physically. So, if you have to suffer, you have to suffer. Now, again, we're going to be doing Terry and I have got a session tomorrow. We're going to be doing the crown of thorns around the bat. So in all this area, negative around the bat, we're going to have a ring of thorns. There's going to be, ideally, I don't know if it'll go the first pass or not, but we're going to use the same red we used on my underarm and my chest, that nebula red. We used it on my stomach too. We're going to use just in the high points to create a blood-like tone. So it'll be like a bloody crown of thorns. Again, I don't intend for any religious context there. I just think it's a cool image. I'm deeply agnostic. And if I were to be anything at all, it would be absurdist nihilist. Realistically, I have no religious preferences, good or bad. It couldn't be farther removed from my life. So my wife has always thought that I am a closet Satanist based on the way I live my life. I mean, if you know anything about actual Satanism, there is some potential to that. There's a possibility that is true, and that I have exerted my will in every aspect of my life to a large degree to create myself. But I haven't done that for the purpose of being that, though. Anyway, I guess I should talk a little about my session. I'm sure most people don't want to listen to me talk about religion and Satanism and whatever the fuck else. I had a nice session with Rick. We got a little bit done. We got a little bit done that went a long way. Sometimes, even when you do just an hour and a half or two, I think it was around 2 hours, you get a lot for your time. So we're at the place with this sleeve now. We got there fairly quick. This is either session 8 or 9. I honestly can't remember right now. But it's faster than I expected us to. We got to the place where every session is fairly momentous already. So like every time we touch this thing, it's a whole new creature. I will say none of this is fresh. This is all healed. So like everything in here is all healed up. So this is how it's been healing. I've got a bit of dry patchiness here. But yeah, this is how it's been healing. I was up front with Rick that I wasn't sure about all the use of black gold because he wants to create more tones of black, which is something I've talked about prior. But it's working out. Like I thought, I don't know how much we can do tonally with blacks, like black on black. I think you have to have hard dark blacks. I don't know if you can get mid-tone blacks, but they seem to be staying. So far, previous to this, the only way that we've achieved black and gray gradients in black on black and white on black is by using multiple passes of white over black. We haven't tried different levels of black, but in here you can see what I mean. We have our black gold transitioning from our dynamic, clearly, which is the base layer, and from the black gold we go to triple X, and even in places Rick is using gloom as a highlight, or like at the deepest point of the black. So there's a lot of layers of different shading and different black technique. Yeah, it's kind of like using different gray washes or different levels of dark washes to create a more contrasted image. While we were in the area, Rick touched up the yellow. We did not touch up the green blue because that was way more solid than we expected it to be. That'll be a one pass, I believe. I don't think we'll need a second pass on the teal color. So the yellow, however, didn't take as well. The yellow still took better than I expected it to for a first pass, but it was a little dark. So Rick wanted to see what the second pass would look like. So if we're keeping notes here, because I think second pass is going to be all it takes for the yellow. The blue and green seems to, at least in this part of me, it seemed to cover easier. When I was working on the chest, however, I mean, maybe it's because we've used so many different tones of yellow too. I found that the yellow cut the black like easier and showed up easier on the black than blue and green did. Then again, I think it's just that it might not be the case. It might be more that all of this color is just so small, it's hard for any one of them on their own to showcase. So now when we have these big fields of color like this, that's reading more to people like yellow on black. That's reading more to people like green or blue on black than these areas are, even though they are, and they're as vibrant or more vibrant. It's just that there's such small spans of those colors that they don't really get to showcase, and there's so many different colors going on in there that none of them in general get to showcase. It's more of an overall color than it is like one particular. With that being said, there will be more color elements brought into places throughout this. My original intention for this sleeve was like kind of like emulation of black and gray, like what my torso is, where we have the main body white and black and then some color elements. I don't know exactly how many color elements. I don't know what it looks like yet. It's not because I have no say in the matter or anything like that. It's more like we're just gonna see how it goes. We're just gonna feel it out. Like if we want to do more color, if I wake up and think I want to put some color in this part, that's on the table. It may end up being an incredibly colorful sleeve. It may end up being not so colorful. As it stands right now, the black is going to be the most of it, which is something I say all the time, that in my white on black work, as people call it, there's way more black on black. And it ends up being more striking because of that. But I've gone over that ad nauseum. We got another session coming up with Rick next week. We're going to be in this part here again. I had a little bit of like an eczema patch or a dry patch there that we've been avoiding, but that cream that I got, I'll put it in here again. It softened up my arm. My arm's about as soft as it's been. I don't even know how long. I don't know. It's hard to say because like until I was working on this sleeve, it didn't really matter so much. So it's hard to say whether it was the chicken or the egg on that one, whether I just started noticing it because we're in the area, or if it's because we've been in the area that my arm is getting dry or whatever the fuck the case is. That cream really did clear it up, and I think I'm just going to keep that stuff around. So anyway, yeah, you can see the top half now, the head. You can see the whole structure of this creature coming together. This is going to be much like this. It won't be as dark as it is today when I show it off next, or when I show it off next week. But it'll still be pretty dark, and you'll still have that nice transition of dark to light, black and gray shading essentially over black. I think when we're talking here in a few more months or 6 months from now, we'll say 6 months to a year from now, this sleeve is going to be like, it's going to revolutionize blackout tattoos. Maybe not single-handedly, but it's at least going to get some people going in that direction more so, because I think more and more people are seeing the scope and the complexity of the work that's achievable over top of black, and they're going to be going, oh, I want to try that too. It's going to be a wave, and I look forward to it. So I'm not intimidated by it. I'm not like, oh, that's my thing. No, I want the doors bust down. That's part of why I keep doing these, even when I don't want to, even when I'm cranky, even when I'm pissy, angry, whatever, with social media in general. The reason why I'm doing this is to bust those doors down and let loose the creative juices that have been dormant. There's a lot of fed cats. There's a lot of complacency, and we're gonna do away with all of that. It's gonna be pretty radical. The whole cover-up landscape is gonna be changing big time, because this is not a question mark anymore. None of this stuff is going anywhere. The longer I'm around, fuck, somebody better take me out now. Like, if someone wants to squash the uprising of new style cover-ups, they're gonna have to take me out. You know, I've had death threats before for different reasons, but I have wondered if the laser industry is going to feel intimidated by this, because this is going to directly be cutting into their profits. So, all joking aside, I think laser is under fire in the years to come. I really think that laser, I don't know if it can get better than it is, and if it doesn't, I don't think people are going to do it anymore. I just think there'll be no good reason to go that route, especially not if we can black something out and in 3 weeks cover it up. Like, we've had people here at the shop that have had 15, 16 rounds of laser before they start a cover up. And if you could tell that same person, instead of 2 years of laser, let's do 1 round of blackout and then just give you a cover up, guess which route they're taking? It's not going to be a hard choice once there's more evidence. And there's going to be more evidence. So if you're still thinking there won't be, you're going to get left behind with that. All right, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.